Let's do it. Let's finish it. Let's complete this list week 2024.
What's up, YouTube? It's Cam, aka Cam puts you on, and today we are ranking the top albums of 2024, and it's objective. You know, there's no subjectivity here. It's fully objective. But as always, if you guys like the content, make sure you hit me with a like and subscribe, and comment down below what you think. Is the ranking wrong, incorrect? What are you feeling? Let me know down in the comments below, and as well, let's get into it. So, starting out with number 10, we have Y-Lord with Anderson .Paak and No Worries. I feel like this album, if you heard it, you know what the vibe is. It's very laid back, very chill. Not a ton going on here, which is why I love it. I genuinely have no idea. And this is going to sound crazy because I love music and listen to music, and I like normally pull up the Genius, but I have no idea what this album's about. I don't know if there's a conceptual theme or whatever, which is probably why it's ranked number 10. Like, I love the album. Don't get me wrong, I love the album. Like, it's in the top 10 albums that I love of this year. But however, I just lay back and listen to it. It's nothing crazy. Nothing insane, but I think the consistency of just the 19 songs with the sonically it just being Anderson .Paak singing so beautifully or rapping so beautifully with No Worries, kind of like insane percussion and just mellow, like almost like melancholy type of strings and pianos. It just kind of all blends together to have this beautiful like conceptual album. So that's why that's my number 10. Again, don't know what the actual like theme lyrically here is, but I think that's okay. I think that's okay. You don't always have to know. Going to number 9, English Teacher, This Could Be Texas. This is like a rock, like punk type of album. I'd probably describe it more rock, but they're an English band. This album, to me, I heard them in concert initially. So I heard all this album basically in concert initially and really, really liked it. And I really resonated with a lot of the songs like Albatross, Nearly Daffodils. I love Nearly Daffodils, R&B, Mastermind Specialism. Those 4 songs I've listened to probably 1,000 times, like individually. Like, those are great tracks back to back. Nearly Daffodils has this kind of like, that's where I think this punk type of rock comes in, especially, is she is getting aggressive on this track. She is getting in your face aggressive on this track. And I feel like a lot of this album feels very introspective to me. And she's kind of like talking directly to herself or directly to you. Like, it doesn't feel like she's talking to this massive audience or something crazy like that, which I really, really appreciate, especially like Mastermind Specialism is very, very chill. It's like, it's just you and her sitting across from each other and she's trauma dumping. Like, I don't know. Something about like that song I love so much. So I definitely recommend that. That's in my number 9 for sure. No questions asked. Definitely one of my top listened to this year. And this album made me really appreciate or realize how much I love bridges and choruses. I know it's kind of like corny to say, but when a song has like a natural progression or natural like build up and then crash and release, I've grown to appreciate that a lot more. I feel like I wasn't rocking with it. When I was a little kid, I was like, bro, if it's the same thing over and over again, that's okay for me. But hearing it like kind of now, I really appreciate when a song has just natural structure. Number 8, which might be a hot take, I think this is a hot take, is Doechii Alligator Bites Never Heal. This album, to me, kind of represents Doechii's year. It's amazing. Like, I don't think there's really any skips on this album. I think it ranks at 8 for me, personally, just because I feel like some of the songs I didn't fully go back and listen to over and over again like I do with these other albums that I have in like 7, 6, 5. But it's still a great project overall. I think Nissan Altima was like a fan favorite, and I really liked it. Boom Bap was amazing, and Wait were great tracks. I feel like Doechii kind of performs in both singing and rapping. I feel like she has these beautiful vocals and then cutthroat raps right after, and it's kind of a great juxtaposition between the two. Like, it's kind of crazy to hear her really rapping to you like she's about to take your head off and then serenade you to sleep. Like, you don't normally see that, bro. Like, she's not picking a vibe. She's combining them in whichever form she wants. So I think it was really cool to see that and have that in one place. I know she considers it maybe a mixtape. I don't know if it's an album necessarily. But to me, given the like kind of having the sound and the theme of Doechii proving herself be laced through every track here, it feels like it's an album, to me at least. That's what it feels like. But that's why it's cemented at my number 8. Number 7 is Kai Crusade, Yvette. Now, if you don't know Kai Crusade, he is an up-and-coming Chicago artist. Amazing, amazing artist. has gotten a lot of shine this year from like No Name to Chance the Rapper. But I have called him, and I will stand on this. I believe he is the rap George Clinton. And when you hear that, you may be like, what do you even mean by that? But I think with like the way that he structures kind of his vocal chains or vocal layering, as well as his kind of jazz-inspired production and kind of like this funky-esque way where it kind of feels like it has breaks, but not necessarily. Or his vocals kind of feel whimsical and comical sometimes with his inflections or just like kind of his laid-back vocals. He'll just place them anywhere. That to me feels very funk-esque, which I may be tweaking, okay? But that's how I feel, all right? And that's my opinion. So I'm gonna have it and I'm gonna stand on it. But I really, really love his production. It feels extremely unique to him. And it feels like he's kind of ironing out and defining this sound that he's created. Like, I don't think anybody really sounds like Kai Crusade, at least that I've heard now. And so it's really cool to kind of see him dive into this project like this. And I know he calls it a mixtape. He says it's not an album. But this don't make the rules, okay? I'm calling it a personal album, all right? It's an album to me, and I'm putting it on this list. Some songs that I'd recommend is Dog, and then Pre-Roll's really good. Honestly, any track on there is very solid. Hyde Park Records, my favorite thrift store in Chicago and record store combined. That is an amazing place to go. Y'all should see it, but also the track is good too. That's cemented at my number 7. Going into number 6, Born in the Wild by Tems. Not that Lagos needs any more attention than it already has gotten in the past like 4 weeks. Everybody and their mama is there. Nigeria is cooking with Tems. Like, Tems is making amazing music. With this R&B and Afro beats infused album, she was cooking, bro. Like, I ain't got no critiques. Tracks like Forever kind of made me feel like I'm in like a city, like driving through, and it's like this up-paced Afro beat percussion and her beautiful vocals. I'm cruising, classy. Something about it, I feel classy when I listen to it, but it still has this kind of like upper echelon type of vibe. And then tracks like Boy Oh Boy kind of bring you back down to earth. Like, it feels very much like it's grounding you. That's basically the vibe of this entire album to me. Is kind of like this tug and pull of R&B and Afro beats that blends perfectly together. Like, it's fighting for your love, but you love both of them. It's like a love triangle type of thing going on. And I think she does such a good job at mixing these sounds and mixing this type of production and vocals that I really haven't seen anywhere else. And I'm trying to get more into Afro beats and R&B. So I think this was a great start for me personally. So that's cemented at my number 6. Number 5, one of my favorite albums of the year, number 5. This could have been higher, to be honest, depending on my mood. But number 5 is Nascent, Don't Grow Up Too Soon, which is a producer tape or album. And if you don't know Nascent, he is a producer from Chicago. And this album feels like the personification of fresh air. Like, something about it just feels so refreshing. It feels new, and like from the title to the cover art to the first song on the album to the last song, it feels so conceptually sound. Like, I really have no critiques. And like it says, Don't Grow Up Too Soon, the vibe that I get is like, even if you're 55 years old, you're an unk, you know what I'm saying? You should still feel like a kid at heart and kind of have that childlike wonder in whatever you're doing. That is the vibe that I get of this album, and it maintains that. From features like Sailor to Childish Major to Saba to Maxo Cream, Paul Wall. I'm name dropping legends, bro, and they're laced through this entire project. They're all throughout. Every feature hits. Every feature didn't miss at all, especially with Big Brown Eyes with Orion's Son. She killed it. The production killed it. Like, Nascent went crazy on this project, and I can't emphasize it enough. I wish I could play the entire album right now. Like, it was a top album for the year for a reason, bro. It has kind of these like chiller themes throughout the album, but also it has up-paced songs as well. So I would definitely recommend just listening to this album top down. You will not be disappointed, from the rollout of the monster like chasing this kid to the cover art of actually being a playground. It all feels so intentional, bro. You cannot go wrong with this project. I definitely recommend it. So number 4, Vince Staples' Dark Times. Vince Staples is my favorite rapper. There's gonna be glaze here for sure. I wouldn't say he's the best rapper, but he's my favorite personally. Like, I think LeBron's the GOAT, but Kobe Bryant's my personal favorite. That's how I feel about Vince Staples. Like, he's my personal favorite. Dark Times, as it sounds, is a dark album. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not super upbeat. It's not like a Street Punks. It's not a Summertime '06. It's its own thing. So to have Vince Staples kind of release kind of a very, very slow album kind of feels like his natural course coming from Ramona Park Broke My Heart to Vince Staples to now Dark Times. It all kind of makes sense. And it was kind of cool to see him kind of fully commit to this idea of having a more slower, darker toned, darker themed album. Songs like Etouffee to Black and Blue. You can't go wrong with any song on this project. And I think if you like slower songs, this is an album for you. I wouldn't recommend it if you're a fan of like Prima Donna or FM or Summertime '06, like bangers on that album. But if you like kind of Vince Staples, Ramona Park Broke My Heart, Big Fish kind of, I think you'll really, really enjoy this album. And that's why it was in my number 4. Vince is always probably going to be in my top 5. I'm not going to lie. He can't go wrong in my eyes. Like, I'm a full glazer, and I know what I am, and I've accepted it. Going to number 3, GNX by Kendrick Lamar. I think this is a hot take. A lot of people probably would have ranked this 1 or 2, but my next 2 are fire, bro. Don't get me wrong. The next 2 are gas. So GNX, I just feel like has no skips whatsoever. From Luther to Whacked Out Murals to Gloria to Peekaboo to Hey Now. No skips. Like, everything bangs. Like, it doesn't feel like a fully cohesive album in terms of, like, storyline of the album, which I feel like Good Kid Mad City had, or Section 80, or To Pimp a Butterfly. However, it just has bangers. It feels almost like a mixtape, and it might be. But to me, it has no skips whatsoever. And Luther is probably one of my favorite Kendrick songs now. And I've just been bumping it nonstop, back to back. So I feel like not having it in my top 3 would have been sacrilegious. Like, it would have not felt right in my spirit. Like, I've literally been bumping it back to back to back. And I think it was really cool to have Kendrick highlight so many West Coast artists, highlight so many West Coast sounds. Like, Mustard, I think, produced like 8 tracks on here. Like, SZA was also on 2 songs, and she killed it. So it was kind of beautiful to have Kendrick kind of drop this just 10 out of 10 banger on us. I ain't got no qualms. Like, I literally am going to keep listening to this until late 2025 for sure. Like, nonstop. I know for a fact. And he murked Drake and then came back and kind of shot more shots at Drake. So it was good to see that. I'm always good for the Drake hate. Like, I'm always going to be there for Drake hate. Number 2 is Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. This album feels like the perfect representation. Man coming to terms with his fatherhood and kind of like wanting to be a better father, want to be a better man, and being an old nigga. Like, I think he does that very well. Like, he's an old man and he's finding his way. I think it's great to see kind of an older hip-hop person that we've seen come up from like their 20s to like now their 40s, and seeing them like fully become like well-rounded human beings, and him kind of be introspective on that and kind of reevaluating his life and kind of like where he places values. That was good to see. It gives me hope as a young man that I'm going to get there someday. You know what I'm saying? So it was really cool to see that. I think there's so many tracks that he just slides on throughout this whole album. Like, Lovebirds, he's cooking. He's cooking. Back in Love, he doesn't miss a single time. So I think that was really good to see from Schoolboy Q. And conceptually, I feel like this was just more cohesive in terms of like storyline, or more put together in terms of storyline than like a GNX or than a Vince Staples Dark Times, which is kind of why it ranks higher. But I feel like it still has bangers. So I loved that overall. Next, going to my number 1. Now, you can probably tell from like it not being on here, and if you've seen any of my other content ever, whether it's streams or like the last like 5 videos. This is one of my favorite artists of all time. So he's got to be number 1. It's Tyler, the Creator, Chromacopia. I don't think it comes as a surprise. This album to me had the cohesive storyline that I was looking for, had the bangers, had the slow songs, had cool production, was like trying to say something, had a message. And because of all those things combined, it's got to be my number 1. It has to be my number 1 without a doubt. I think from songs like Darling to Tomorrow to Sticky, Ratata, like we have every type of vibe that you want in an album. Like no matter what you were going for, it's in there. I think there's Flower Boy from production from like Darling to Tomorrow. I think there's Igor production from Noi to Ratata to Saint Chroma. I think there's Call Me If You Get Lost and Sticky and Thought I Was Dead. Like, you literally have everything you could want from Tyler and his past sounds and his current sounds all blending together to form Chromacopia. And I think it was also cool to get Tyler kind of in his like very, very like personal bag. Like, it was really cool to see that. And I mean, he kind of was like saying like, I need to have a mask to do this. And so he had an entire rollout. He had an entire merch drop like a week before it even dropped, which like the real Glazers got the merch. I definitely got the merch. So that's just kind of what you had to do, you know what I'm saying? I had so much faith that the project was going to be good that I bought the vinyl, I bought the merch a week before it dropped. And it was really cool to see, like, he had this entire video rollout, entire kind of theme that he was going for, and he executed it, in my opinion, very, very well. I wouldn't have changed a thing. And I never felt bored. I never disassociated while listening to the album. It definitely kept my attention, and it was an hour long. So with my TikTok brain, honestly, like, that, great in its own. Like, that is a feat for any album to do. It kept my attention the entire time. And I wouldn't change a thing about the album. I think it's a 10 out of 10. I think any of my top 5 probably could have been interchanged with each other. But honestly, I'm happy with this list. I'm okay if it didn't change at all. But that was my albums of the year. Do you guys think differently? Would you rank it different? Would you add anything in there? What was on your top 10? Please let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys for tuning in, making it this far. As always, if you like the content, have any opinions, like, hit me with a like and follow, comment what you think down below, and follow my other platforms. I have a TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, which you're on. Please, please, please check out my other videos. I have many video essays, reviews, all over the channel. But as always, I love you guys and appreciate you guys. Happy holidays. Peace out. Be smart.